I'd like to introduce you to another member of the band. This is Shelley. Everybody say hi, Shelley. She says hi, hi. And Shelley also has an interesting backstory, a history that is relevant to a lot of the stuff we've been singing about in the songs on this DVD. And so I'd like to tell you her story a little bit, and then have her play something so you can hear what she sounds like. We met in Vienna, Austria, and it happened like this. In 1993, my wife Lisa and I, we were contemplating moving to Vienna, Austria as missionaries to start a church. And so we went on an exploration, visited Vienna, some other places, and on our way home, we went through Geneva, Switzerland, and it happened to be Easter Sunday when we went to a vineyard church in Geneva. And there was a man there named George Lowden, who is a luthier, a guitar maker. I didn't know it at the time, but he's a world-renowned guitar maker. And I was introduced to him, and we went into a side room, and Lisa went to visit with some other people, and he showed me a guitar that he was taking to a trade show. It was a $7,000 guitar. And I was pretty impressed by that, and it was a really great guitar, I'll have to say that. And he also told me a little of his personal history, how he started making guitars, and at one point he said that he'd had a dream, and in the dream he saw a pattern for the bracing that's inside a guitar. So here's a little background information for you that will be relevant to Shelley's story here in just a minute. But the top of a guitar is made out of very thin wood, in this case cedar. And in order to support the tension of all these strings, a bracing is constructed that goes inside. It's usually an X shape and has some other pieces that go in there. And a lot of thought and careful construction goes into this, because this is where the sound of the guitar is produced. And so an experienced luthier will know how to design that bracing and how thick the top should be and all these kinds of other considerations in order to produce a particular beautiful sound. Okay? So there's a little background about guitar making for you. All right. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, Lisa and I are living in Vienna, and one day we went out for a walk. And we went by a auction house, and we decided to go in, and this would be the equivalent of a pawn shop here. They have these auction houses where people bring stuff they want to sell, and they put it on display, and you can go look and decide, hey, do I want to go and bid at the auction on whatever it might be. So we just, not planning to do this, we just randomly walked in there one day and looking around, and I saw this guitar in a glass case laying on its back like this. And I looked at it and I thought, huh. And then the first thing I noticed was the name right here. If you can read that, it says Lowden. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a guitar made by that dude that I met in Switzerland. It's one of his guitars. I said, Lisa, it's a Lowden. And she went, so? Like I said, she was not in our conversation. She had been visiting with some other people. And then the second thing I noticed was that somebody had gone and glued seashells all over the top of this guitar. There were probably about 20 of them on there. And there were some more up here. And I thought, oh my gosh, who would take a guitar by George Lowden and glue seashells on it? Obviously, I went to the auction, and I won, and got a really good price for the guitar. And they didn't charge extra for the seashells. And I picked her up, and I said, well, what's your name? And she said, my name is Shelley. And I said, of course it is. And so we went home, and I said, Shelley, you got too much jewelry on, girl, and it's not doing you any favors. We need to get these seashells off of here. And so I started working on them with a pocket knife and trying to pull stuff off and very carefully. But she was not liking that. She was complaining, "Oh, don't take my seashells off. I love my seashells. Oh no, I want those. It hurts. Don't take them off." But I did anyway, because those seashells were muffling her voice. Remember, I was talking about how carefully that's designed and constructed? You go gluing seashells on it, that is not a good thing. It hinders the intended voice that the maker was thinking about when he built the guitar. So anyway, we finally got all the seashells off, put some new strings on, and this is her voice. And I went, wow. Wow. I even said it backwards. Wow. For 10 or 15 minutes, I just sat there doing this. And then we took her to a friend who was a violin maker, and he redid some of the lacquer on the front. Oh, this, by the way, is just everyday wear and tear. This is not part of the abuse that had happened before. And it became clear that the reason that she had all these seashells on was that under every single one there was a crack or a gouge or a hole or finish scraped off. Some kind of damage had occurred. And so she was just trying to cover up the damage and just out of shame make herself presentable, because things had been done to her that were never intended by the maker. And so we finally got all that off, and like I said, now you can still see where there are scars, but they're not open wounds any longer. Scars, but not open wounds. And she's been returned into the hands of a master guitar player, if I can be so bold. And she's been returned to the purpose for which she was designed. Now I want to make a comment about George Lowden, and also about other guitar makers that I know, and myself included, because I've started to build guitars. When a luthier decides to build a guitar, before he ever picks up a piece of wood or a tool, he's already designed it and built it in his head 15 or 20 times. He may have even drawn it on a piece of paper and drawn a plan. But he's already gone through the process of what wood for the body, what wood for the top and the neck, and how will those things interact in terms of sound, and what kind of styles of music will this guitar produce, what kind of sounds will it produce. They all have a vision for the guitar before they even start. And so thinking about George Lowden and about Shelley, I believe George Lowden never, ever sat down one day and decided, you know what, I'm going to build a guitar for somebody to glue seashells on. Never. I'm sure that never crossed his mind. But things happen that were not planned by the maker. Do you follow me? And we are just like Shelley in so many ways, that there was a maker who had a plan and a design, a particular sound that was supposed to come out of us, a particular music we were supposed to play, and things sometimes occur in life that get in the way of that. And we sometimes, out of shame, we try to cover up the stuff that's happened, because we know that it's not correct, and we want to make ourselves presentable. So we get seashells, and it could be all kind of stuff. It could be our addictions, it could be materialism, it could be relationships, or just seeking fame, or just whatever it would be. But to really have your true voice come out, you got to get rid of all that stuff. And it can be painful, but we have to take those seashells off and then see what's there, and we need to take it to a repairman, a master luthier, to get it dealt with so that our voice can be restored. So we've got a couple of songs more that will deal with this a little bit, because the reality is those woundings and this damage and stuff that's happened do not have to define you. And they do not have to dictate what your life looks like and what your future is going to look like. You can be free from that stuff in the Lord. That's our whole message on this video. There is a reality that we've all lived through, and there's bad stuff, but there's also a remedy. And just like Shelley was able to go through a process, and now she sounds like this. Same thing can happen for you. So now I'm going to let Shelley play a song for you so you can get a chance to hear her voice. Are you ready?